There's always been this fear that the more AI and the more tech we bring into our lives, the less human we're going to become. We're going to lose the human element of our art, of our work, of even our conversations. We're seeing it. People generating conversations with AI so they don't have to text their own friends. I mean, where are we going with this, right? And it's certainly been a fear, and it's probably more frightening than ever right now. But I think if we're conscious about it, we can actually use tools like ChatGPT to make us more connected to our own selves and to the human experience as it stands. And the reason I bring this up is that my friend sent me this video that really got me thinking about a new way to use ChatGPT. So let's go over there.
One thing I do a lot of is just journaling. And I saw this tweet the other day by Dan Schipper where he talked about journaling with ChatGPT, something I'm super fascinated by and something that I think, quite frankly, is much more interesting and more intriguing of a thought prompt than me sitting down and doing the same thing day over day. Eventually you get used to that and there's no creativity. So a lot of the journals that I've been recently using are actually guided journals. So they're either based around some spirituality concepts. So I've got like a Christianity journal, and I've got like a Stoicism journal, and then I've got like a daily planner, and they even have relationship journals. And I've used all of them pretty extensively, and the ones that I like the most are the ones that are very dynamic. You don't know what you're getting each day, but there's some rhyme or reason that eventually you get and it makes sense. And I think that that's where ChatGPT has the advantage, is it can be whatever, whenever. So if you feel like you're a little bit more down and you need that psychoanalysis, you can get that. If you need something that's just quick because you're running out of time and you don't have a lot of time to journal, you just got to capture just because you want to create the log, then you can get your entry in. And I think that that's what's super fascinating to me about ChatGPT and the whole concept of using it as a journal or a planner.
I agree with Q a lot. I think that ChatGPT totally could be the thing that helps get more out of you, right? So much of our lives is experienced in the moment, and we forget to reflect on it. We forget to put our thoughts down on paper or in voice note. And I feel like, just generally speaking, decades from now, everyone would want to have more things that they've written or spoken that they can look back on and be like, oh, that's what I was thinking back then. Oh, that's what I was, feeling at that moment. And it's something that I've started to do a lot myself, mostly, just here with voice memos. My voice memos, I've got like 400 in there from just this year. Whenever I feel like something crazy has happened, or I want to reflect on a time of work, like very stressful but fulfilling work, I'm reflecting. It's just a place where I can dump my thoughts, right? There's no organization to it per se, and I think that's where I would like to see ChatGPT come in and actually help me bring organization. The tweet that Q was talking about was this from Dan Schipper. Basically somebody had asked Dan if he'd seen anyone doing AI journaling, right? Dan asked who's doing it. This person, Ariel, said, isn't getting an AI to write for you antithetical to journaling? Yes, but it's less about getting it to write for you and more about getting it to prompt you with interesting questions, help you unpack issues, find patterns in your thinking, reflect things back to you. He's got this article over here. It's a great article. I'll link it down in the description, but some of the things that really stood out to me, he said, when you prompt GPT correctly, it can really be past just this you and a journal experience, and it can be very close to an empathetic friend. One of the suggestions that he made was Facebook PM Mina Fami, whom I met at the AI hackathon, he suggested telling GPT-3 to take on a persona and told me that he'd had great result asking it to be Socrates. He started experimenting and, you are Socrates. Please help me with an issue in my life. Please ask me questions to help try to understand my issues and unpack it. what's the issue that you're facing right now? I'm stuck on an article I'm writing. What kind of article are you writing? I'm writing about how to use your self-development practices. So yeah, kind of meta in a point. This is a long post, but it's a lot of great value here. And like I said, it'll be linked down in the description. One thing that I wanted to test out personally is, for the last 6 months, I've been meaning to start a travel journal, basically a log of all the places I've been internationally. I'm not talking about different places around the States, just new places that I visited that completely changed my perspective, because in the last 2 years, had about 4 or 5 different international work trips. And, I want to get those thoughts down before I lose them, right? But I've been stuck, like what do I talk about? What do I cover? How do I actually bring a format to it? And so I went over to ChatGPT and, I put in a prompt. That prompt will also be linked down in the description. Hit that Everyday's link down there. It's going to have all the links from this video that I'm doing, as well as the ChatGPT prompts that you can use to create your own journals of sorts. But anyways, I gave it this prompt, and it came back with 15 travel-related prompts that are supposed to help me open up and reflect about my international travels. And it really hit the breadth of experiences, from, the language, what's the local language, very simple things that you can answer. What's your first impression? What was your first impression of it? I loved this one. Write about any memorable interactions you've had with locals. Natural wonders, urban exploration. Lessons I learned. Reflect on any valuable lessons you've learned or personal growth you've experienced while traveling to that place. I mean, that's a great question. The thing that I didn't particularly like about this is it was, I've got 5 or 6 different things I've got to go back and write about. So I don't necessarily want to write a paragraph for each one of these. So I prompted it to make it quicker, to make it more condensed to something that I can just answer with one sentence for each one. And it came back with a great set of just prompts for me to go off of. First impression, just give us a one-word emotion. What was it like? Was I overwhelmed? Was I, pleased? Was I hungry? I don't know. What was I feeling at the moment, right? And it's mostly the same prompts, but it just does it in a way that helps make it easier to just open up, right? I went on further. I gave it another prompt, and I wanted it to help me rank these places, right, in very general terms. And it gave me a nice system for ranking these destinations based on a bunch of different categories, so that I could also have a numbering system. I'm a numbers guy. I like numbers. And so overall, I'm pretty pleased with it. I feel like ChatGPT helped me create a format now where I can just go in. I feel like I'm, ready to tackle it, and I'm directed, right? It's not, some long, expansive, this was my whole trip, and this is everything I did, and this is what I saw, because that's just too much, right? It's not feasible. And the real reason I wanted to start this travel journal was because many years ago, when my grandpa passed away, one of the things my dad found at his place was this travel log of all the international places he'd visited. And it was very simple. Because he had been to over 20 or 30 places that he had traveled to, and it wasn't some elaborate, diary about everything. It was just a lot of these little small notes, like, met this person, had this meal, saw this this site. And it was a super simple travel log, but it told so much about where he had been and what caught his eye while he was there, right? And so that's why I wanted to create it, and I feel like ChatGPT actually helped bring that essence to what I did, particularly in that second prompt. So I'm personally going to be using it. I finally feel empowered to go and dive into building out this travel journal, this travel log. And as a bonus, I was just curious because it did such a great job. I went back and I wanted it to just do random journaling prompts because like I said, I'm doing voice memos more and more, and I just had it come out with a bunch of random journaling ideas, and it kind of just missed the mark at first, so I had to stop it. And I basically told it, like, hey, these are way too open-ended. Give me something that I can feel like I can answer in a minute, and that's it. And it did a good job. What made you smile today, and why? What was your favorite thing about your current routine? Why do you enjoy doing it? What's one thing you learned today? One of my favorite ones was number 19 here. If you could teleport anywhere right now, where would you go and what would you do there? Great prompt, great journaling prompt. You know, ultimately, I feel like the purpose of journaling is to create a time capsule of how you are feeling, what you're thinking about at a current moment in time, so that, you know, whether it's you or somebody else years down the road can look back and be like, oh, that's what Ryan was up to at that moment. That's the state of mind that he was in. And it's just, hey, like, everyone's all stressed about ChatGPT, you know, figuring out ways to help you make money or do your job for you. But at the end of the day, like, we should be using tech to help us make us more human, not less human, right? And so I feel like this is a great foray into that different pathway. And with that being said, that's really all I've got for today. Like I said, if you want to see any of the links from this video, the prompts as well, will all be in the link down below in the description. It's going to bring you to this Everyday's Journal, which is a journal that I work on with Q Harrison Terry, and very incredible, very impressive person. He's the guy that was in the video earlier on. And yeah, we cover a lot of topics. Every single day we come with a new note on the future tech trend. As of lately, we've been talking a lot about generative AI and ChatGPT. I mean, you can see it's almost every day or every other day we're talking about that in particular. And, you know, we've got dozens and dozens of notes. It goes on and on, believe me. A lot of value here, a lot of ways to start future-proofing yourself and just getting excited for the future and thinking of new ways to operate. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and until next time, keep exploring and stay curious.